There we go. We've got the Xtrainer. We've got the Husky. Everyone's running away now. I got you, boys. And we've got the WRs back. And we've got the bearded burbler. KTM, it's got an upgrade. No stickers. With no real plan, we headed out and strapped it up the main track, thinking we'll take a side track and see how our day plays out. It didn't take long, and we were following Gamble on his loose KTM. It delved straight into a nice little ruddy and rocky incline. Nothing too nuts, just a nice introductory to the trails of the area. And then wham! That's right, lantana. Everything has to balance out somehow. These tracks are prime. So of course they're compensated with nose whipping, lip cutting and cheek smashing overgrown lantana in copious proportions. At this stage we're just getting the little reminder about it, but as the morning progresses I'm pretty sure the ahs and you lantana grunts run free.
Oh shit. Mixed dancing. bit of bike ballet. Hey, oh yeah, hill climb. Now I'm dancing. Come on, boy. Woo! Down in the jungle.
When riding, it's pretty much guaranteed that what goes up must come down and vice versa. So we'd done a reasonable climb, entered a bit of dense bush, love that stuff, and we're now on the decline. Always a bit of a worry in a new area, on new trails, how gnarly the climbs and downhills are going to be. But again, this one was pretty nice and simple. Had a bit more lantana to make things a little interesting, and before we knew it, the first leg was done and we were back on a main connecting road. It didn't take long and we were venturing another trail. One we'd been on last trip, but still trying to figure out. Eventually Mick took the lead and we were flowing through the creek and its linking trails. A really enjoyable little stint that came to an end too quickly.
This will be the classic Gams bit. Remember this?
From here we had another little hill climb, which we knew to take the left line after last ride. Walk in the park for the Xtrainer, and Mick needed a bit more of a challenge, so roughed it in the rut. Up the top for a debrief, and Gamble noticed that Stigler wasn't with us.
No, he's stuck.
Stigler.
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
No.
He must be halfway down.
Can you can't hear him, mate?
No.
Can't hear him. He might be dead.
Oh, Michael! Who bought this bloke? Oh, there he is. Holy! I'm like, Jesus Christ!
You're in your exhaust, mate.
But he's very quiet.
Heading off, we found another trail, and it's like the bush remembered Mick's complaint from last ride.
Where the hell are these vines coming from?
As this time it wasn't just a steel cable vine, it was like the vines sent reinforcement to take care of him. They nearly swallowed him whole. I found it pretty humorous. We continued on, getting more intimate with the lantana again, and entered what is somewhat like a bush trapdoor, and into the lantana abyss. Slash, smack, slice, this stuff is nuts. After a pretty flowy trail with a simple descent, Gamble took the reins again and charged that lantana. I was in pretty hot pursuit, hoping to get some reasonable footage, and then got caught out on a rut and tree roots. This really stuffed my momentum and poured Dirt and Mick behind.
Sorry, man.
Once I was going again, I was hoping I could run down the pumpkin, but he was keeping reasonable speed in these lush trails, albeit getting a belting from the stray branches. One cut him like a razor above his mow. For the next little leg, Dirt was given lead and took us down the next unknown. Well, it clearly involved a load of lantana, and this time I copped it right on the goggle line for it to get caught just about on the eyebrows. A quick adjustment and more lantana bushing to come, but I think Gamble was at the receiving end, according to the grunts and sounds. Lantana aside, it was quite an enjoyable track with some nice little hills and turns. It led us to a spot we came to last time, the opposite way. So we went to take the chicken track, but Mick's bike just needed a quick rest.
Jesus!
This is where the ride became a little more interesting. After passing this little creek, we knew we were coming up to a fairly deep puddle. So again, we decided to take the chicken track for this one too. But the Xtrainer and WR450 must have been too fast for the Husky and KTM, as they weren't anywhere in sight or earshot. After passing another small creek, it was clear they weren't with us. So I headed to the main puddle in case they went there. Mick manned the bypass. Well, they decided to choose their own adventure.
Where are they?
Oh boy. They missed the turn off. They went past and up the creek.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they're still going, I think. Gams! Campbell! Yeah, well, yeah, they didn't look to the side.
Minutes later.
You guys struggling your way up the creek.
It was so deep.
Yeah, it was.
I took a bit of water in, I think, so it wouldn't start for a while. Still had a panic attack. My helmet was so hot, my goggles were on.
It was quite the ride too, by Gamble and Stigler's reports, with the creek rising to ball depths. Not the best combination with an already overheating and hard to start big bore KTM. Kickstarting in the depths was Gamble's only choice, and being a hot summer's day, his helmet, goggles and sizable beard may have panicked the poor bloke a little. It was decided that chocolates by a nearby creek were in order. Back on the bikes we had a little hill climb to negotiate out of the creek and we were cruising. We met the main road again and decided on our original plan. Find a track and see what comes of it. Well, I noticed a nice little rock climb to the side and Gamble said, go for it. I wasn't sure if it was the same one from earlier, but nah, it was a newie. And surprise, surprise, it was covered with vicious lantana too. And this stuff was nasty. Not only did it whack my cheek with enough grunt to send shivers through my teeth, but it bloody well helped to guide my front wheel into a dirty big rut on the climb. Fortunately, Gamble was given the same fate about 15 metres behind me at the same time, so my stuff up didn't impede him. I imagine his though affected the two behind. A quick yank of the bars and we were both back on the tracks, teaching this hill and its lantana inhabitants a lesson. Well, the Xtrainer was off, the poor old KTM struggled just a tad. The next little track was a bit more wild, with sizable loose rocks on a pretty ill-formed track that was tracking upwards. We gave it a quick test but decided this one wasn't going to be for us today. Maybe next time. Gamble's a bit of a magnet to puddles, and I was silly enough to chase him right before one.
Come and go at me in the mouth.
On to another track where again the bush is out to take your bloody head off. And the KTM was in charge with the Xtrainer in hot pursuit. Surging through the lantana, we were provided a brief escape with a tree with a one-way arrow. Well, who were we to break the rules? Down we went, down it continued, and down went the little Xtrainer. It really is such a nice little bike to pick back up. Anyhow, the track continued down. Down for a long time, and quite steep. Gamble provided quite the welcome at the bottom. Unfortunately, this is where the KTM said enough is enough for a little bit. It really doesn't like the slow trails in the 30-degree heat. Next mods are likely a new battery and a thermo fan or two. We all took little goes to kick her over, and then wham! We cheered. We took the scenic way back to the cars for lunch, snags on bread, a coffee, some electrolytes and ready for a shorter round 2 after a rest. Back on the bikes and the KTM was heading in the direction of our last idyllic ride. Hopefully the same as our last day too, and its spectacular scenery. First up was a bit of a snotty hill climb with some ruts and rocks to contend with. Gamble got shaken off track momentarily, but we all made it without issue. It then took us a bit of back and forth riding to find the designated track. With all GoPros on, we tracked it on. Still a little flowy country style track to begin with, and then the boys knew where they were, and the GPS confirmed we were on track. Mick confidently took the lead and away we went, straight into a nice little mud puddle, and then we were a bit surprised with how dusty the track was, especially considering 2 days earlier, just 2 hours up the road, we got over 170 mil of rain. There'd be limited KTM footage now though, as the GoPro was facing a little too downwards on this leg. But here we are dropping into a scene from Alice in Wonderland.
A bit dustier this time. Which is ironic because 2 days ago we had 170 mil up home. 2 hours away. Ooh. It's like it's beautifully manicured.
It was all going smoothly, nice track, scenery, and then cramp.
Very pretty, but that cramp's getting me. I'm cramping, man, hardcore.
See, that's what happens when you get old. Hey?
But we got back on the loop and continued this cool track. Still fun, but didn't have the same special feeling as the first time around.
Maybe it was partly due to already riding earlier today, don't know. This little rutted corner claimed Mick, and then I made a meal of it trying a different line. All good.
Up that bit of hill. Because I think I stuffed all them up. Wow. Did you get stuck behind me? Yeah, I know, sorry.
And then I'm like, I'm going to go on the left side, and there was a big stump there that I couldn't get around. The track continued with some nice bushy sections, a nice rocky creek crossing, some open grass sections, a couple of little puddles, a farm-like setting, and then it closed in again. It's getting a bit tired. We're all getting a bit loose. Oh God. These poor lines. I don't remember that. We'd wind our way beside the creek, take a decent descent, hooking to the left to drop into the creek. Gamble's line looked to take a bit of effort, so the rest of us followed Mick's approach, and we all met up on the rocks without any worries. We let the KTM cool down for a minute or two and then we're on our way again. Well, most of us. My bike decided it needed a rest at quite an inconvenient location. Or maybe rider error had something to do with it. Anyway, we scooted through the soft stuff and kept making tracks.
Geez, I just look back and you're in the water. Huh? I just look back and you're in the water.
A minute or two later I could feel little spasms in my back and was hoping it wouldn't lock up on the trails. I knew I had a back brace in the car, so that's where my goal lay. The boys had slightly different plans and we continued on to another creek crossing or two, which would lead us to the way out. Thankfully I lasted the trip and there were no more mishaps from anyone else. We cruised on back to the cars, said cheers to one another. Thanks to the boys for another great ride, thanks for watching, and thanks also to the subscriber base. I just clocked over 1,500 during this edit, and although it's not my main goal from the channel, it is nice to know there is a small country town's worth of people who are willing to follow some of our little adventures. So till next time, cheers and hooroo.
This bloke's really 99. And there's the living proof.
My skin will tear if I touch a rock, I reckon.